This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Joining me now, Jonathan Dismang. He is Republican from Beebe. He is the co-chair of the Joint Budget Committee. He's going to be busy in about the second full week of August when the governor has called a special session to accelerate some tax cuts and do some other things. Senator Dismang, thank you for being here.
No, glad to do it. Appreciate the invite.
All right, very quickly, I'm going to try to run through this. Kind of a four-prong approach is what the governor has thrown out here. We're going to accelerate tax cuts with this $1.6 billion surplus that we have. The top tax cut's going to come down faster,
Right.
4.9%. Corporate tax cut that'll kind of track that a little bit at a higher rate.
Right.
You're going to sync up the state with a federal depreciation schedule for equipment purchases. And then there's tax relief on kind of the first roughly $10,000
That's right.
for all taxpayers. If I have all of that right.
Yeah, no, you got it. So, and that's on top of what we've already done. It's one thing I want to make sure that people are aware of, especially as we talk about, we're accelerating. We've already put in effect, as far as January 1st, 2022, a low income tax cut and a middle income tax cut. When we combine the tables, those totaled roughly, if I remember correctly, about $150 million alone for all those individuals that were making less than $84,000 a year. This is just going to advance what we've already do, the acceleration and reducing that top rate down.
Why are you not going to be worried that it's too much too fast? This is one-time money, and it's a large pot of money. There's no doubt about that. But what's going to be the appetite among legislators if the economy turns, which it can do quickly?
That's right.
Is it to roll back these tax cuts? Is it to cut the budget? What do you think would happen?
No, and I think it's a great question. And it goes back to really what we did prior to even the last session and getting ready to be able to take some risk, if you want to call it that, as far as cutting taxes. We currently, have over $1 billion in our rainy day fund. There's, 1.6 billion essentially that's going to be a new surplus amount. We can set, a significant portion of that aside to ensure that if we do have a reversal and the collections, start drying up, that we've got the ability to, fund state government at the level it needs to be funded. So I feel like we've got the proper backstop to be able to take advantage of the environment we're in right now as far as revenues.
The governor said no pay raises for teachers. There's not legislative consensus there for that at this time. Lawmakers have been pretty hard on teachers. I mean, accusing them of teaching critical race theory, asking them to do things during the pandemic, solve social problems. My gosh, some people want to arm them now against school shootings. And when you look around other states, there are increases in starting salaries for teachers.
Right.
Arkansas is going to lag, and it may take another year to get that into effect. Isn't this a mistake to wait on teacher pay raises?
I don't feel like it is at this point. We did just install some teacher pay increases. I can't remember the exact amount. And we also took a look at their benefits package and made sure that we made sure their health insurance affordable and continue to be affordable. And so we've put a significant amount of money in our teachers because we value our teachers. And right now we're in the middle of what's called the Adequacy Study. And so the legislative body, both House and the Senate, are looking at, and one of the things they'll take into account is what we need to do for teachers. And just like we've done in the past, we'll follow the procedures before. And that's something that we'll take up when we get into the regular session. Really, it was nothing against teachers per se. It was against not wanting to increase expenditures in this special session. Members were comfortable with looking at decreasing revenues, but again, not increasing ongoing expenses. And then also there's a lot of unknown for that and how it would impact a school district. We didn't want to put mandates on a school district that they weren't able to live up to as far as being able to continue that increased pay for teachers.
But it will be another fiscal year before you could do anything more for teachers if you wait until the regular session there. And that does put Arkansas another year behind what some of these other states are doing. That's going to be a concern. What do you hope happens out of the adequacy study? What do you think, just tentatively, you've been around long enough to kind of get a feel for this. What do you think is a realistic pay raise for teachers come next legislative session? What do you hope for?
Well, I mean, honestly, at this point, I don't know that I know. I mean, as far as pay across the board, and again, it's just not in education, but really in all industries, there's been a significant increase in pay in a number of areas. And so what does that need to look like as we go into the next session, as we're following along with this, inflationary numbers the way they are? I think it can change. But again, as far as I know, I don't know what the exact number is going to be. And a lot of that, you're going to have to look at the discrepancies across school districts as far as what teachers are paying, and then also incentivizing to make sure we're retaining teachers and keeping teachers and hiring teachers in some places that is very difficult to do so in some of our lower economic areas.
All right, the governor has said that there's a possibility there will be some other things on the special session call, school safety policy, which I want to hold off on since there's a task force kind of mulling over some options there. But he did say that there may be a requirement for some abortion rules that need to be implemented in the wake of Roe v. Wade being overturned in the Dobbs case there. He even hinted that there may be some Medicaid flexibility. I trust that you have had some sort of conversation with him on this. What do you think might happen in terms of abortion-related policy in this special session?
Well, as far as conversation with the governor's office or the second floor, I haven't had those, especially on Medicaid. I know amongst members, there's been some discussion about matching the credit for adoption with that on the federal level. I think that's part of what the governor is talking about again, but I haven't had the conversation directly with him. And then also the pregnancy crisis centers. We did $1 million worth of funding. I think there may be a push to do some additional monies for those folks so that they're able to help with the pregnancies.
Should there be an exception for rape and incest in Arkansas's law? Will that be debated?
I don't think that'll be debated now, but I think it should be debated in the future. As long as I've been here, I felt as though there needed to be an exception for rape and incest. And I know that we did pass a bill that does not have that in it, but I do think it's something that we should consider, but I don't think it's something we should do during this special session.
All right. You worried about some, I guess, the germaneness of some bills getting in there with abortion-related topics on the special session? It could open up for a lot of other things that could keep you guys there for a lot longer than, what you hope for is a short special session.
Right. Well, historically, we try to make sure that there's strong support for any items that we bring onto the call or the governor adds to the call for the special session. That's not necessarily happened in the last couple, but I would like for us to, know what we're voting on. We're preparing the bills right now and really be in and out as quickly as possible. Some of these other items, I think there's a much more significant debate that needs to occur, and hopefully we'll be able to do that in a regular session.
All right. Lastly, the state Senate has been dealing with an ethics reprimand and investigation for 2 of its members. I think you've been involved in that Senate ethics panel as well. What's your prediction for what will eventually happen?
No, so the ethics committee's already, made its recommendations. They'll be issuing their findings to the full Senate. I'm not on the committee, so I haven't seen what that report's going to look like. I think each of us will do our job and take it seriously, take their recommendations, and I think ultimately they'll be approved. But again, that's really going to be up to each member as they read through that report. It's something that I hope that we do take seriously. I think that we are, and we'll see. We've got a few weeks left before we're going to come back and take that up. But again, I think we'll do our job there.
All right, circling back. Jonathan Dismang, state senator from Beebe. He is the co-chair of the Joint Budget Committee. If you think it's 100 degrees outside, wait till you're on the hot seat of the Budget Committee as chairman right there with a $1.6 billion surplus as well.
Fair enough.
200 degrees in that Joint Budget Committee room. Best of luck to you. Thank you for being with us. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. We're back with more right after this word from our sponsors.